Shalom, brothers and sisters. What's up? I hope you're good today. So, today I have a brand new topic, a brand new idea that I sat with myself and decided to do this research. And I want to show you. And this is the 10 reasons, the 10 misconceptions of Africans towards you. What Africans think about you that's not true about you. So that's what we are going to discuss. Of course, stay tuned. And this information is for educational purposes. It's not to ignite conflict between Africans and the African Americans. Purposefully for education, so that when you come to Africa, you get to know these things, and when you see this coming, you already know what's happening. So let's roll on to my first point. Some Africans still think that all African Americans have wealth and they are successful, which can be true, but again, these people fail to see. As Africans, most of us fail to see that in the United States we having wealth disparities because of the systemic racism which is going on. And when you come to our country, most of us think that you have money, and they start, borrowing you money. They think you have money. Some also want to scam you because they think that you have money. But in reality, you are also, working, going to work like any other person. You are also, pushing your hustle. You're waking up every day just to work on your craft, work on your skill, just like anyone. They have this notion like, like you have billions of dollars in your account. The way they see people like, the baby, McMill, those people, like they flaunt a lot of cash. And this brings in the African minds, especially for the young teenagers who sees this on TV screens and think that, oh, it's with everyone that they have, this money, they have a lot of money. But in reality, that's not true, as most of African Americans, just like you Africans, they wake up to go to their work, they wake up to go to their skill. Some are just teachers like, you Africans. Some still work under some companies, just like you Africans. So there's nothing like, all African Americans are rich. Of course, there are some who are rich, yes, but not all of them are rich, and that's a misconception that needs to be do away with, so that if our brothers and sisters come to Africa, let them have peace of mind. Let us not charge them exorbitantly because we think that they have a lot of money, because there have a lot of been cases where African Americans are complaining that we are charging them exorbitantly. This is because of this misconception that African Americans have a lot of money. Also, kings and queens, my friends, my brothers and sisters from the United States, kindly be vigilant. Ask, when you come to Africa, ask them if the price they are selling you is the legit one. You can confirm this by asking a fellow person who have just bought the same product, for you not to be charged exorbitantly. This is perpetuated by the misconception that has been fed to Africans through the social media, because we're seeing a couple of you flaunting a number of dollars, thinking that, oh, it's all African Americans, they got money, a lot of ballers. That's how they call themselves. So that's a misconception number one, that Africans think about you. And we are here spreading this awareness that not all African Americans own such kind of money. Let's go to point number two. Misconception number two: Africans think that African Americans have higher access to education. They might have access to education, but you know what? You don't understand the systemic racism that they face. Some Africans also still think that African Americans are lazy. They don't want to study. They don't want to, but they don't understand the traumas that Americans are facing in schools because of the systemic racism and this disparity in education. They don't understand something called slave trade that happened, that most of African Americans were never in schools at that time, but they were on farms working for these people. And these disparities are also seen today. They're reflecting today, the disadvantage, the inherited disadvantages of slave trade. It's manifesting today in the systemic racism. So there is a misconception of Africans thinking that African Americans are not studying, they are lazy, they are only taking drugs, they don't want to study, they are always on their rap game, they are always married to, the trap life. That's what they think. No, it's not that way. We have African Americans who have access to education, which is true, and who also study so hard. So, in as much as we think that they have access to education, it's not the same as we Africans in our schools, where somebody doesn't see you because of your color. Somebody doesn't judge you because of how you look. In schools, you won't be discriminated because of your color, as compared to them. That's happening to them every day. And it might not be teacher, it might be a teacher, it might be a student. They still face these problems. And in as much as they have access to education, doesn't mean that they are reaping benefits of all of it, because they also have to pay for school fees. And I know this is something that you always think that, in the United States, education is free. There's nothing like education is free. There are disparities, and there is a lot of segregation which is going on there. So let's go easy on our brothers and sisters in the United States, and let's end this misconception. Not all Africans have equal opportunity. All African Americans have equal opportunity in education, and we need to take note of this. Kings and queens, we value and we know that you're facing a lot. So that's a misconception that we are spreading awareness to our fellow brothers in Africa to stop. Misconception number 3, crime and violence. Yeah, years ago, people have been perceiving African Americans as violent people who you abuse drugs, people who the black neighborhood, everyone got a gun, even the grandmother, even the grandwoman, 70-year-old woman has a gun in the black community. And this is what we see on the movies, but in reality it's not like that. The black community is just like any other community. People who live peacefully, people who recognize themselves, people who stand up for each other. It is not true that all the black community are they like crime, or they own guns or something. You see a couple of black movies or black series movies, there is always drugs, there is always guns, somebody has to be killed on the streets, the cold blood thing. And so when we see that as Africans, we believe that, hey, the streets of United States, the black community, people murder each other because they are used to crime. No, they are just like human beings who go to church. They are just like human beings who are also afraid to death. They are just like human being like you, who is also afraid of spilling blood, like you are afraid of spilling blood. Life is sacred. Life is sacred to them, just like you. We are all human beings, and that's what is humanity. So please, let's stop with that thinking that African Americans are associated with crime, drugs, and violence. Okay, that's not true, because it's not just true, because it's not true. And that's just that, it's not true. I believe that we are all human beings, and they're just as peaceful people. We have great people in the black community who are so peaceful, and we can't just come up with the conclusion that the black community, they use drugs, they abuse drugs, they like violence. Everyone is a bro in that community. Everyone is a bro. Hey bro, chill. Everyone is a bro there. So it's a community which have peace. And just like any other community, people kill each other, and it might happen with them. There are a lot of theft cases, like just other in any community, even in my country, Africa. If you find yourself at night, maybe at 11 p.m. outside on the streets of Nairobi, chances are that you'll be robbed. just like any other society. So it's not associated with the black community or the African Americans in the United States that they abuse drugs. They like theft cases because they are seen on movie screens. They are on the banks wearing the black masks, robbing the bank, the way they are shown on the TV screens. So these are misconceptions that Africans, we need to stop. Most of people, misconception number 4, think that African Americans have a monolithic culture. No, it's not true. Actually, they are diverse and so complex with different genealogies, everyone tracing theirs. African Americans, they have diverse culture. We have the Caribbean, we have the European Africans, the Native Africans, the Cherokee. There are so many, and they are diverse. Yeah, they're not monolithic culture. So Africa, just like any African countries, we have different cultures. Everyone with their different identities. Same as the African Americans, they have different cultures and different identities. So let's stop the narrative that Africans have the same culture. No, they are different, because if you look at the history, we have the transatlantic slave trade, which took part in different places of the African continent. Slaves being picked from Ghana, slaves being picked from Brazil. Different places, different places. So they are different cultures, because everyone try to embrace their different cultures. So it's not that if you see a person in the black skin, it means that they are all sharing the same culture. Nope, they are not sharing the same culture. This is for your educational purposes. Not that all African Americans, they don't share the same culture. Actually, some hold different values, So you need to understand that. So, the fifth, some Africans still think that in USA there is no discrimination and racial segregation. This is because they have read history, seeing right movements, the church and all. They don't understand that racism still exists in the United States until today, as I'm talking to you. They feel that this is something which is historical. This is something which happened in the past, but it's still going on. And we need to understand that, you see. So, when we saw Malcolm X, we saw Du Bois, how will I call them? These activists, let me call them activists. We think that Africans think that, things like racial segregation happened in the past, and it's not happening today. No, it's happening until today. It's happening until today, and there are a lot of exploitations that are happening in the United States that are happening today. And in as much as there are still rising civil rights movements like, the Black Lives Matters, this is because they exist until today. That's why these movements are up to date. If there couldn't been, racism and all those stuff, automatically there could have not also been, the grassroots movements like the Black Lives Matter. So guys, let's stop thinking about that. So if you move from Africa, you're going to the United States thinking that, oh, I'm going for a greener pasture. Yes, you might be going for a greener pasture. People's purposes of going to, to the United States or going to any other European country for work is different. But again, the moment you step foot there, first month, second month, the third month, you will notice that there is racism. You might see it, or it might happen to you. If it might not happen to you, you might see it happening to a person who is close to you. So racism is still a topic of discussion in the United States. So brothers and sisters, know that racism is still a topic that goes on in the United States, and you need to understand that. The sixth misconception is that all African Americans have the same accent, and all African Americans have one language, or they are monolinguistic. This is so funny. People don't understand, because depending on which street in the United States, people speak differently, especially for the black community. You there are some words that if an African American from the Los Angeles uses and another one from Florida uses, they know that they are geographically differentiated and it's different. So Africans, including me, sometimes back, I used to think that, they have the same accent, and even the accents are different. In the past, around 1 year ago, I used to think that, all African Americans, they speak, they have the same accent. Yo, what's up, dog? Such kind of communication. But I later on came to realize that no, it's different. Actually, they have different accents, depending on places and the way they're geographically differentiated. So when you're a person who understands linguistics, I was once a student of linguistics. I dropped the unit, so I understand that geography plays a part in some people using a given accent, and there are some words that are used in a given region, and so this also happens in the United States amongst the black community. So they don't have the same accents. They have different accents, different phonation, and different ways in which they term words. You understand that? So that's a misconception that Africans, I believe this so because a lot of Africans believe, still think this. So that's a misconception number 6. The seventh misconception is in food and cuisine. You see, Africans think that, all African Americans have the same taste in, food and cuisines, which is totally different. We have different tastes, which is true. And depending on the culture in which a black American identify themselves with, that's the type of food and cuisine that they like to take. For example, an African American who identify their traces with African ancestry may like to take food which is related to the African. The Caribbean will like to take the food which is related to the Caribbean. So you understand? So we are having this misconception that, all African Americans, we like taking food. We see this on movies when the cars pass. You call them tacos. When the tacos comes with the food and everyone consume the same food, so we think that you guys, you share the same food and cuisine, which is different. You don't share the same food and cuisine. So this is also a misconception that we Africans, we believe in. And for me, as a person who have also interacted with you for some times, I believe it's true that we are different. Let's even leave alone the African Americans. Even in Africa itself, people have different tastes in food and cuisine. Some people like taking junk food. Some people like taking different types of food depending on their region and their cultures. So, for example, in Kenya, people in coast, people in coast like taking foods like coconuts. You understand? Because regionally, that's where those foods are located. And when you come back to Nairobi, Central, you realize that we take different type of food because of the region. So the same applies with the black community. Depending on the region that they are, affects the way which type of food they like or which type of food they take. So that's a misconception that Africans still believe that you have. This is funny. People believe that all black Americans or African Americans share the same religion. Nope. Just like the Hindus, just like Indians, just like Africans, just like Islams, we share different religion. Same to African Americans. We have African Americans who are Islams. We have African Americans who are Christians. We have African Americans who are Buddhists. We are African Americans who are atheists. So people have African Americans have different religions, and people still think that all African Americans are Christian. There is no Islam African American. There is no Buddhist who is African American. Nope. There are different people. I'll use an example of this person called Louis. He's a lookalike of Malcolm X. You guys tell me in the comment section who he is. Is someone Louis? He has a Islam name. He kind of look like Malcolm X, and he's also a black supremacist. And I've seen him in a lot of debates with the whites. You guys tell me in the comment section who he is. The guy is a Islam. So and is black, is African American. So Africans still think that African Americans have the same religion, so which is not true. And we are here to spread this awareness, to tell them that no, just like in Africa, just like in India, just like in any place, people have different religions and denominations when it comes to worship and what they believe is their, who is their God and who rules who. Yes. And I don't have much to say about that because it's self explanatory. And I just wanted you to know that. And if you are a Buddha, you are coming to Africa, practice your Buddhism. If you are, you practice Hindu, practice Hindu. If you are an atheist, practice your theism. So that's a misconception that Africans we have towards you. And yeah, we're spreading this awareness, telling them that we are just same as them because people believe in what they believe in. Yes. So, brothers and sisters, if you're watching this video for the first time and you wish to subscribe to my channel, I kindly ask you to subscribe to this channel. And I thank you guys who have always been coming back to watch my videos. It's Eugene from Kenya, and always have peace of mind. Remember that God is the provider of everything. So guys, let's meet on the next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.